I am Nikarasu with the Paparazzu, and these are my first thoughts on Life is Strange Reunion. So I'm going to start off by sharing the choices that I made in the beginning. I friendzoned Amanda and Vin, I rejected Safi, I let Chloe die in Arcadia Bay just because I wanted to see Max's reaction of her reuniting with Chloe when she realized that she was alive. I also wanted to save her from a character assassination in Double Exposure. But most importantly, I chose to romance Chloe. Now moving on to the things I liked about Reunion. We play as both Max and Chloe, and we start off the game by playing as Chloe first. We see what she's been going through since the events of Double Exposure. While being the manager of a band, she's been having these visions that's only been getting worse and worse for her. And this is what leads Chloe to seek out Max. As for Max, we learn that she's been doing really well for herself. She even managed to find herself her own agent, who was able to land her an opportunity out of town, which is where Max is returning from when the fire in Caledon happens. Max failed to save anyone, and as a result she ended up traveling back in time through a photo. And she's quick to think of something that I found to be missing in Double Exposure. She quickly realizes there could be potential consequences.
No smoke. No screams. I did it. Oh God, I did it. I jumped into a photo again. I'm sure this won't have terrible, far-reaching consequences for the school or the people I love. What have I done?
During the 9 months, Moses has been studying Max's powers. He's even had her test her powers. And in the 9 months, there's been no storm created. Moses has been theorizing what's safe for Max to do, what's untested, and what to avoid. Moses even theorized that Max's powers are evolving. Moses has been very cautious and thorough when studying Max's powers. He's even taken the time to look up in the skies to see if the clouds are changing their patterns in case a storm arises, which only adds to how thorough and cautious he's being. Moses has come to the conclusion that it's safe for Max to rewind, but what isn't safe because it's untested is her traveling in the past through photos. After how long they spent time together studying Max's powers, Max believes that Moses' conclusions are right, so I don't take issue with her using her powers again. Because nothing has happened, even if it did, Moses is still constantly checking the weather. So he can easily warn everyone in Caledon about a storm coming and they can all take the time to evacuate. And in this here, Moses not only delivers one of my favorite lines in this entire game, but he also says something to Max that encourages her to use her powers and actually makes a lot of sense.
And Max, promise me you'll do whatever you can this weekend. To stop the fire, to save people if it breaks out, anything. I know there are consequences to using your powers, but inaction has consequences too. Whatever happens, I need us to know that we did everything we could.
I think I need that too.
After that conversation, Max goes to teach her class. One of the things I didn't like about Double Exposure is that they didn't really do anything with Max being a teacher. I mean, they had small dialogue here and there, but that was about it. In this scene, Max is not only teaching her class, but she also gives them an assignment. The assignment is to walk out someone they've never met before and to take their picture. As they're struggling, Max helps them out like a teacher. After a while, when switching back to Chloe, she finally meets Safi for the first time. When seeing her, Safi takes Chloe to the place that they've been to the place that they've constantly been seeing. Chloe eventually lets go of Safi's hand and they end up leaving that place. Not long after that, Max saves Laura and herself from being blown to bits. As Laura runs off to find answers to his questions, Chloe shows up. Chloe shows up right before Max's eyes. Max is completely shocked to see the girl that she sacrificed to save Arcadia Bay is standing right before her. They quickly take off together before the police can find them. The following morning, the two finally have their reunion. For Chloe, it's been a few years, but for Max, it's been since the day she sacrificed Chloe to save Arcadia Bay.
I know you saved me, but I'm starting to wonder Maybe you didn't. Did I die?
I saved you. Then, when the storm came, you asked me to go back and undo it. You saved Arcadia Bay when you died a decade ago.
So they catch up, explain Chloe's problem, explain what happened in Double Exposure, which Chloe doesn't take too well. I mean, you can't blame her really. But then she calms down and decides to ask Max why she had to save her from a demolition site. Max tells Chloe about the fire that came to Caledon from the future and that she traveled back in time to prevent the fire from happening. Chloe, showing concern, asks Max if she's worried if she's going to cause a storm again. Max assures Chloe that thanks to Moses, she has a better understanding of how her powers work. From here, while trying to figure out her issues, Chloe decides to also help Max stop the fire from happening. As Chloe is about to meet Moses, Max realizes that Chloe was there during the fire, in that she died along with Moses and everyone else. Max attempts to tell Chloe about it, however, she can't just bring herself to tell Chloe the bad news. Soon afterwards, Max and Sophie have their little own reunion. They talk about what happened in the vortex, when Max was in there to save Sophie and everyone else in there. In the background, Max notices that Chloe is there. She goes to reach for her, and that's how Chloe was able to come back to life. Max suspects that it must have been amnesia storm because she doesn't remember doing this. Sophie cries about it and says, "Oh, you forgot about me and just focused on Chloe, wah." And then just blames this whole mess on Max. Doesn't even take accountability for the role that she played in all of it. But I will admit, I was surprised by Sophie when she said to let go of her world domination plan. She said that she stopped going through her plan because she felt lonely. And while she still may be a bit crazy, she's nowhere near as crazy as she was in Double Exposure, as she realized that she needed to stop what she was doing. But because she wants to blame Max for her problems, I didn't feel bad for what happened next.
What's with all the sneaky stuff? Why don't I just run over there, grab what's in her bag, throw the bag in the water, and give you the stuff?
Throw her bag in the water?
Yoink. Bitch, you did not just... What the fuck? Here, take the mask before she comes back and beats my ass.
I was not expecting this, but I'm so glad this is what we got. Afterwards, Max and Chloe take a canoe to get away, and they have a nice conversation. And honestly, this is where Chloe delivers, honestly, one of my other favorite lines in the entire game.
So, she blamed you for bringing her back to life, and then you agreed with her? That's such bullshit. Yes, your powers are weird, and sometimes freak me out too. But there isn't a single person in the world I would trust with them more than you.
I think I needed to hear that. Thank you.
After that, we head to Abraxas part, and this is where I ran into an issue. Throughout this entire section, it was so bright. Thankfully, I wasn't in the dark when I was playing through this section. Now, I did have the brightness all the way up, which in hindsight, I know isn't a good idea. But it's what I sometimes do in games. Now, I did turn the brightness down, however, that didn't really seem to help since it was still pretty bright. So, I don't really know, and I've seen someone else even have this issue too. Now, if you're like me, or even if you're not like me and still have this problem, then I recommend you turn down the brightness before Max and Chloe end their canoe ride. Because you definitely do not want to have this problem, especially if you're playing this in the dark. But anyways, Max and Chloe sneak into the party and they end up finding clues. As Max is trying not to blow her cover, she ends up drinking some kind of wine and she ends up getting high off of it. Chloe helps Max through this, and they do end up having a serious conversation from this. Which is pretty heartwarming, as Max reveals her true feelings to Chloe. Not any romantic feelings, but telling her that if she really cared for her, then she would tell Chloe to get far away from her as possible, as her powers will only bring trouble to her. Chloe tells Max that she's been having to make tough choices for so long, and that she shouldn't have to carry that burden alone. But what I would say is my favorite part in this entire section is when this dude that's like twice their size shows up, forcing Max and Chloe to hide. Now Max is still high, so she's still seeing and hearing things that aren't real. In this situation, while being high, Max almost put herself and Chloe at risk here. And the thing that I love about this scene is that Chloe is the one that needs to save Max here. Now I know Chloe has helped Max before, like giving her an escape ride. But in this situation here, Max isn't in the right mind to use her powers. To help them both escape from this situation. It's all up to Chloe. Here, Chloe goes from being the girl always needing to be saved by Max's powers to being the girl who saves Max despite having powers. If Chloe wasn't with Max here, she likely would have died. But after a good night's sleep, our Max feels better. After that, they go after everything they've gathered. Max reveals to Chloe what happened in the first timeline with the fire. They talk about it, and eventually leads to the best scene and choice in the game. Afterwards, the two split up, and in my playthrough, I was able to win back against Ren. Ren basically confesses and reveals his motivation. The bones that Chloe and Max found before actually belonged to Ren's father. Ren's father was a part of the Braxton, and he ended up dying, and as a result, Caladon covered it up. They hid the truth from everyone. He blames both Abraxan and Caladon for the death of his father. Not only that, but because they also tried to cover it up, which you can't entirely blame him for being angry about. As for Max, she ends up meeting with Safi and ends up finding out that Yasmin was part of a Braxton. Not only that, but she was also part of the group that ended up covering up Ren's father's death. And honestly, I wasn't surprised. I mean, it's not the first time Yasmin actually tried to cover something up. Safi even tries to convince Max to leave and let Caladon burn. Now, her reason for doing so is so that she doesn't get hurt from trying to play hero. And while I understand what she's trying to do and agree with her to a certain extent, I don't agree with how she's doing it. I don't agree how they should just run away as you are a danger and just let them die. Max playing hero can end up hurting her, however, it could also hurt her from not being able to save even one person, not even trying to. Even if she can't save everyone, Max should still make an attempt to save whoever she can. Now, as someone who absolutely hated Safi in Double Exposure, I don't think the scene with her is actually bad. From a writing perspective, and this is very in character for Safi to do at this point. So I'm willing to give credit where it's due. After confronting Safi and Yasmin, as Max, we get to decide who the culprit is. With Safi being one of the suspects, in my playthrough, I actually did pin it on Safi, but even before this game even came out, I knew Safi wasn't even responsible for the fire. And Safi as a suspect is way too obvious. I didn't think they would make her the culprit at all. But I still picked her just to see what would happen. Right as the fire is about to occur, Safi tries to trick Chloe into leaving with her. She tried disguising herself as Max and tried to trick Chloe into abandoning Caladon. Chloe saw right through Safi's ploy. After being found out by Chloe, Safi decides to once again blame Max for everything. Then they're taken to a place that they've seen dozens of times. It's right here where Safi all suddenly has to change her heart and realizes that she's blaming everyone else for her problems. And now she feels like the only way to escape all this is for her to die. As Chloe, we try to convince her not to go through with it and to live instead. But because I pinned Safi as a culprit for the fire, she ended up not listening to Chloe and ended up choosing to die instead. I think it's very interesting that it can be determined with both Max and Chloe whether Safi lives or not. So by the end of the fire, only 3 people died in my playthrough. And before hitting the road with Chloe, Max decides to talk with people and see how they're doing. When Max goes to talk to Moses, we see that she's feeling down and guilty for not being able to save everyone. Despite it only being 3 people, she still feels bad for not being able to save those 3 lives. Max thanks Moses for helping out and even admits that she couldn't have saved the people she did without him. Now of course Moses feels bad for not being able to save everyone too, however, he's able to live with the fact that he was able to save all the people he could. And this is a scene that I really wanted to resonate with Max. Afterwards, in the final section, we play as Chloe. Chloe receives a letter from Moses and the photo that Max believed was destroyed. He sends the letter hoping to keep this a secret from Max, as he wants Chloe to be able to decide what to do about this. Whether to hide this from Max, or to show her and risk her going back in time, risking another storm just to save everyone from the fire. He also talks about what could happen to this timeline if Max goes back in time, not knowing what would happen. Now this leads to the final choice into the game, whether to show Max a photo or to burn it. As for the choice that I made, I ended up choosing to burn the photo. I didn't want Max to try to convince herself that she needed to go back in time to save the people that she failed to save before. Even if it's through deception, I want Max to be able to live and accept what happened. For her to come to terms and realize that even with her powers, she can't save everyone. And if she continues to try, it could make things worse as it could risk another storm. Also, I don't think Max would be as interesting of a character if she's just able to save everyone with her powers. Now, of course she should always try, I have no issue with that. But how can she be an interesting character if she never fails? Choosing to live with and accept failures. I mean, can we really say that she fails if she's always making sure to go back in time and make sure everything is right? After burning the photo, Max comes in and says something that shows actual growth.
We've never been back home together. It might be time. Or, maybe that's a terrible idea.
Right now, I don't want to think about the future or the past. I just want to be here with you, capturing every moment.
Deal.
Now, as for things I didn't like, the first thing is that when you're choosing some of the things in the beginning, choosing whether Max romance Amanda or Vin in Double Exposure. Now, these choices are really pointless because there aren't any scenes where Max and Amanda are together, and no scenes where Max and Vin are together. Now, yeah, they can have their moments where they talk about their romance from before, but there's really no romance scenes in the game between any of the characters you choose here. Aside from Chloe, of course. Now, I don't really care for these two as love interests, but why bother giving me the choice if nothing's going to be done with them? Now, the next part comes from Safi. Surprise! Now, I do want to say that I did find Safi to be far better in here than she was in Double Exposure. And I'm not even against the idea of Safi being redeemed and Chloe trying to help her out here, because I think that's very in character for Chloe to do. The problem I have with Safi being redeemed is how it was executed. It's given to her rather than earned. She hasn't done anything to earn redemption. It was just given to her. Like, the only thing she did afterwards was forgive her mom, which is a big step for her in his character development. However, she did nothing to earn her redemption. She didn't save any of the students. She doesn't save Moses. She doesn't save Chloe. She doesn't save Max. She doesn't even help save anyone. She quite literally does nothing. All she ever did was just complain. And play the blame game. Now, despite how I feel about Safi, I don't think she deserved to die. However, that doesn't mean she should just be handed a redemption arc. Also, her development of realizing that she's been blaming everyone in her life for everything going wrong just came from out of nowhere. One second she's like, oh, I blame Max for what happened. And the next second she's like, you know what? I've been blaming everyone. Again, I have no issue that it happened. I just don't like how it was executed, as it just came out of the blue. Instead of it taking time and having to appeal to Safi to make her realize that what she's been thinking has been wrong. The third thing is giving Max the photo in the final choice. Now, I don't like this for two reasons. One is because it goes against why I made the choice to burn the photo of Max learning and to accept failure. If I had given her the photo, then she would use it to go back in time and risk the life she already saved just to save 3 people. And I don't think that's a risk worth taking whatsoever. Now, as for the second part, even if you save everyone and you give Max a photo, she'll still go back in time. Because apparently, if players keep using Rewind, then this is going to force Max to still go back in time no matter what, even if she saved everyone. And while I think that's cool game design, I don't think that makes sense narrative-wise. In my opinion, failing to save some people and burning the photo is the best ending, because it forces Max to learn. Learn to live in the present rather than living in the past. As Chloe suggests for her and Max to go back to Arcadia Bay to confront their past, Max actually agrees with that. It shows that she's no longer haunted by the past and that she wants to move forward in her life, which shows huge growth. As for the last thing, it's the fact that they brought back both Chloe and Arcadia Bay, making your choice from the first game completely pointless and meaningless. With both being back and giving Max a photo for her to go back in time, it completely goes against the lessons she learned in the first game. How can Max be expected to learn that her decision in using her powers come with consequences, and that consequences just no longer exist? By making the choice in the last game pointless and meaningless, as well as negating the lesson in the first game, I can't give this a 10 out of 10. But it is a very strong 8 out of 10. So some final thoughts is that I wish David was somewhere in this game. Whether it was through any of these photos when they visited Arcadia Bay, or him and Chloe's contacts. David is a great character, and so is the moment of him talking to Chloe on the phone in Life is Strange 2. I would like to see a heartwarming family moment between the two. And given how they didn't really do anything with Diamond in this game, I think she might potentially be the next main character in the next Life is Strange game. I'd like to see what's been going on with her and what her powers are. I'm actually not even against the idea of a next Life is Strange game. However, I don't think they should use Max and Chloe anymore, unless it's like a reference or small cameos. But the next game should not be about Chloe or Max. They should not be involved in it whatsoever. We've already had their stories told twice, and honestly, this is a fine conclusion. Just leave it here. We're happy that Max and Chloe are happy, so let's just leave it at that. That's everything I wanted to cover in this video. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, and of course if you have any thoughts, feel free to leave them down below in the comments. If you're new to my channel, feel free to check out my other videos, shorts, posts, and subscribe if you haven't already.